Thanks for tuning in. My name is Andre Page, account executive here at Wilco Imaging.
And my name is Ezekiel Morales, the lead engineer here at Wilco Imaging as well.
So today we have a very special presentation. We have a portfolio of cables we would love to go over. Ezekiel, can you lead the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So we only have a few of our cables here on display. So starting from my left, which is your right, we have a trigger cable. This one is a 10-pin trigger cable that goes to an open end on the other side. And this one's kind of common for an example, the dial camera, as well as we have another cable here. This one's your standard USB type A to a USB type B. And this one as well was built for a custom application that we had to do where the other end had to go to a custom built circuit board that had this type of type B connection. Next up, we have a M12 to a M12. These are both male connectors. And this one's mainly used for factories or warehouses where there's going to be a IP67 rated camera connected to it, where it'll be safe from dust, water wash down. So if you're like in a factory, you need to kind of hose down certain equipment. This is going to be totally safe because it has a thread pitch that you can go ahead and tighten it all the way in. No water can get in or dust. Next up, we also have same setup M12, but in this scenario, we have it going to a RJ45 connection. So if you're going to connect it directly to, say for example, a PoE switch, something like that would work perfectly fine. Lastly, but not least, we have a USB to a USB 3.0, which I know a lot of people are very commonly known with that connection for different manufacturers for machine vision cameras.
So you did mention that the USB 3 is one of the common cables?
Yes, yeah, it is one of the common cables. Key benefit of having a gigi camera is because you'll be able to run more industrial grade cameras that are either 5 gigi or with the newer ones coming out like the 10 gigi. So they'll be able to power on and not have any like bandwidth or kind of like drop frames because your cable's going to be very strong and robust for that part. And then I guess touching up on a quick little example here is these USB cameras, since some applications are not always have all the space needed, you are probably space constraints. So this one, for example, is a 90-degree angle. So if you have a camera here and you have a wall behind you, this one will, as it connects to the camera, it's going to spit out 90 degrees to the left or to the right, whichever way the orientation is. So that's another key thing about USB.
Now, are there other angles I would be able to move that in besides
Yes.
the left and the right?
Yes, left and right, up and down as well. So if it comes out, it's going to go either straight down or straight up. Once again, depending if you're like the camera is mounted up high in the ceiling and the cable has to be obviously coming down to run down to your PC or your laptop or whatever you have your camera connected to.
Gotcha. So another thing, going back to the USB 3 and the Gigi, when would it be best to use a USB cable compared to the Gigi cable?
That very kind of varies on your application and what kind of camera you want to use. Your usual standard one is USB. The cameras are more cost efficient or cost effective for applications. So that one is going to be more on the customer's end on what they want to achieve. So there's nothing good or bad if you go with the a Gigi camera or a USB camera. It just and kind of sometimes seems like could also vary on the sensor. So maybe the sensor that you are, you got approval from the engineer team to use only comes on a Gigi camera compared to a USB camera. So it really varies on your application. So there's no benefits on pros and cons like you need to use a USB or you need to use a Gigi.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for clearing that up. Yeah. So I know that Wilco Imaging does specialize in many custom service ranging from sensor glass removal, etching, and white glove services. So for the customized cables, how would you go about that process?
Yeah, so that one usually goes with having a meeting with your team, knowing your requirements, knowing what connectors you need. Say for example, an M12, you need to go to for example here, a USB Type B. We'll need to know that, and then we'll also need to know the pinout of the internal connector. So say for example, pin 3 is going to be your voltage. Pin 6 is going to be your ground, or things like that. That way we can go ahead and make a drawing of all the wiring, internal wiring of the raw cable, and then from there we'll present it to your team. Your team will be able to confirm if it's like any changes, or do an approval sign off, and then we'll go ahead and start the process of building it in-house.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should know about these cables or the customization projects?
Yeah, I did want to add one more thing on the custom cable, is that another reason why we also build a lot of custom cables is because the usual standard one length is about 6 feet. So what we can do as well is build a cable that's as long as you need it for. Here we have a 55 meter length cable, and this one's just a M12 connector to a RJ45. So yeah, that's the last thing I think I wanted to add on the custom side of it.
Thank you, Ezekiel, for the information and going over this portfolio. We have hundreds of cables on our website, so if you do have any questions about that portfolio or what we displayed today, feel free to reach out to me directly at andre.page@lortech.io or visit our website at wilcoimaging.com. Thank you.